What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. It's day 3 of the NFL draft, but we're bringing you Baltimore Ravens content every single day, even after the draft, way before the draft. Posted a video every single day that this channel has been up. That will continue, but today I got a ton of videos coming out. I got 3 videos coming out before the draft even starts, and then I'll have an instant reaction video to every single draft pick. Then I'll also have an overall day 3 recap and analysis. And then eventually, I don't know if it'll be tonight. It may possibly be tomorrow. I'll have a full draft analysis and really give all my full thoughts and like kind of final draft grades and everything like that. But in this video, what I'm going to be talking about is draft strategies for basically today, day 3. But the later videos will be players that I really like. I'll do one video on offense of players I really like for today, and I'll do one video on defense for players I really like today. So make sure to subscribe, turn the notification bell on. You can get notified when those videos come up. They'll come up every hour prior to the draft. So this gets released at 9 a.m., next video 10 a.m., next video 11 a.m., then draft at 12 p.m. But let's look at it. Day 3, Baltimore Ravens. We got 5 picks in this draft, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, and a 6th rounder. Remember, we traded that 7th round pick for Josh Oliver. I call him the weapon. But first thing to do is ask, will the Ravens make any trades? I don't think so. Just based on Eric DeCosta's kind of body language and us having 2 picks in both the 2nd and both the 4th and the 5th round, I think that like the Ravens will be in a position to draft the players that they want. They picked at the very end of the 3rd round. And, they were the 2nd to last pick in the 3rd round. So they got like their guy that'll be available in the beginning. So I don't see them really trading up for there. And then they're going to have like relatively consistent picks throughout. So I don't think they'll really be trading unless they trade like future picks in order to get in. Like maybe they trade a future 7th and their current 6th to like slide up a little bit. I don't think it'll really happen. So let's look at kind of what they should do. First of all, before we can even say what should they do, we need to look at what they already did. They've already drafted Rashad Bateman. He fills kind of the wide receiver hole. We've already drafted Odafe Owe, fills the edge hole, sorta. We'll talk about that in a second. We drafted Ben Cleveland, boosts the offensive line. Drafted Brandon Stevens, fills the secondary need. So what are the remaining holes on the roster? First off, I got to say offensive tackle, particularly the right tackle position. But based on, kind of the Ravens draft strategies, the guys they've passed on, particularly a guy like Tevin Jenkins, who so many Ravens fans were so confident, that the Ravens would pick when he was available at pick 31. They left him on the board. And for that reason, I've said this before the draft started, I am very confident that the Ravens will sign Alejandro Villanueva or another offensive tackle in free agency. So, like, offensive tackle is significantly less than a need than I think a lot of Ravens fans are seeing it as, at least in terms of the Ravens general management and front office and what they think. Because in their mind, I think that they think they're going to get an offensive tackle in free agency. Otherwise, I really think they would have drafted somebody already. Next kind of position, the center position. I think another position where I think it's less of a need than I think people are really saying, just because we do have Bradley Bozeman, who played center at Alabama. And Bradley Bozeman has been an okay offensive lineman for us. Let's be honest, can't really be a downgrade at center. We had horrible center play last year. But like we left some guys on the board. Like we left minors on the board who, including myself, I thought like, oh my goodness, we're getting minors. We left Creed Humphrey on the board, particularly in the 1st round. But like we didn't trade up to get him or anything like that. Like, we kind of so maybe they're feeling confident. And maybe also Tristan Castillo. Hopefully I didn't say that wrong. I always mess it up. I think they believe in their center, so it's less of a need. I still think it could be a small need, though, to get, kind of the future, to get a guy with more upside. Next position, I think edge is still a hole. I did say, or I guess I haven't said in this video, I don't think, but like I am pretty confident the Ravens will sign an edge rusher in free agency with Justin Houston. But we have Odafe Owe, who is very solid, very, very future oriented. In terms of right now, we don't have much of like a guy that can be like a pure pass rusher in terms of like skill moves and things like that. If we get one in free agency, that'd be great. But getting depth at the edge rusher position, because any edge rusher that we sign, they're going to be really old. So having a guy for the future that we can have alongside with Odafe Owe could be absolutely amazing. So that could be a dynamic duo really moving forward for the Baltimore Ravens franchise. Another position that I think is less of a need. I think those are like the only holes. I mean, even I said like they were small that I see on the roster still. But the Ravens draft strategy has almost always been the BPA strategy, the best player available strategy, and that is always something that works in a certain sense. Like the Ravens aren't going to draft quarterback in the first round when they have Lamar Jackson. That's not, they're not going to draft a left tackle. They're not going to draft, what's a position they won't draft? Those are probably the only positions I could name right now. But they're not going to draft one of those guys because, well, they literally have that set. But other positions, that are, relatively reasonable that they can make the group for, they can absolutely still go there, even though it's not necessary a hole of sorts. First position, I'll say, is linebacker. Who do the Ravens have for their future at linebacker? Obviously, Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison, Tyus Bowser. That's it. We got 3 linebackers for our future right now. We should probably address the future at the linebacker position for depth. Maybe it's an outside linebacker to be a backup for Tyus Bowser. Somebody. I mean, we got to get. Technically, we have Odafe Owe. I see him. I call him as an edge, not a kind of a drop back into coverage linebacker. So that's why I say linebacker. So, and also we always see the Ravens draft a day 3 linebacker. It just happens almost every year, it feels like. So that's definitely a position that they could definitely target. And I think they definitely should target it, whether it's an inside or outside linebacker. Doesn't have to be like an edge rusher, though. Another position could be the running back position. Gus Edwards may not have much longer on the Ravens. He may not be here for very long. We only have him for one more season. Then, do we give him another extension? I don't really think so, just because the value wouldn't be there. He's relatively replaceable in the sense that like we could draft a running back that could replace his productivity, or we could give J.K. Dobbins like more snaps. But the Ravens are kind of in need of a pass catching running back based on recent J.K. Dobbins performances in the playoffs and pass catching. And Gus Edwards, he's good after the catch, but like catching the ball is not a specialty of his. So getting a guy that could come in and catch passes and then eventually take that Gus Edwards part of the, kind of bulk of the load sharing. We technically have Justice Hill on the roster. I just don't see him as this is going to sound horrible. I don't see him as really a running back. I see him as a special teams player, similar to kind of how Chris Moore was when he was playing with the Ravens, just like, very good special teams player. I don't really see the position running back attached to it. I don't think he'll be a part of the Ravens offense very much, but if we drafted a running back, there'll be a pass catcher and they'll be able to come in. Kind of the final position I got on here is wide receiver. Obviously we drafted Rashad Bateman. That like fills the main hole. However, depth at wide receiver is still something that the Ravens could definitely look into. They've brought in new passing game coordinator. They've brought in a new wide receivers coach and Keith Williams and T. Martin. If they like a guy, they think they can really develop a guy. They weren't there when we drafted Miles Boykin. They weren't there even when we drafted a guy like James Prochet. And I like James Prochet. I'm a big believer in James Prochet. Same with Devin Duvernay and stuff like that. But like, if they really like a guy, they think they can develop him, maybe even if it's on the practice squad, they could definitely go after a wide receiver. Especially when we got like 5 picks and we have like 3 small holes that I brought up. Wide receiver could be something that we draft as a later pick. And I don't think it would be a bad selection. Y'all know who I want, but I'll definitely talk about, all these guys, all the different positions and guys that I want in the offensive and defensive player videos. But let me know in the comments positions that you think the Ravens could target, or you could also comment different players you want them to target or different things you want to see happen on day 3. But new videos will be coming out, on the hour for the next couple hours before the draft. I'll see you guys then, as well as for live reactions for all of the Baltimore Ravens picks. But thank you all for watching. Subscribe for daily Ravens content. Turn on that notification bell so then you can hear when basically I upload new videos, because I'm posting new videos all the time throughout the draft process. And I'll see all of you again in a little bit, in an hour, I guess.